Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, Growing and Becoming. I hope that you have all been well. Listen, I'm not even going to drag this too long. Today, we are ready for an amazing conversation, but I will not be doing it alone, thankfully. I have a phenomenal woman with me, so I'm just going to let her introduce herself. So, please, who are you?
I'm shy.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
People of the podcast. Hi, I am Sewa, based in Manchester. I am 29. Let me start with my age. I'm 29 years old. Yes.
And the big 3-0 is in September. And we're going to be showering her with love. She's on this podcast for free. So we need to show her that we love her and we love the wisdom that she's giving us today. Send her love. I'm going to put her Instagram. I'm not allowed to.
You can show my Instagram.
I've loved it. I'm going to put her Instagram in the description or whatever. Yeah, I'll tag her as well on our socials. So yeah.
But yes,
go on. What's more to you? What else are you doing?
What is about me? I like people. I was saying earlier on, I love people. I love to hear from people. I like to learn from people. I like to know what makes people tick. This sounds a bit like crazy now, but I just like to understand what people are like. So I'm in love with people. Love like being around people. Quite social. I like to hike. I feel like that's a little. You know, when you want to do a little activity on.
Yeah.
I'm also active.
I never really understand people who don't like hiking. I don't know what it is. I just don't.
These people just, my friends, why am I walking aimlessly?
When you're walking on the mountains, like you get to see the beauties of the world.
It's like, but I can just see it from somewhere. My mission is to bring all my friends hiking it. I've got most of my friends doing it, but this is one person.
I was supposed to go on the first one that you invited me to, but then life happened, demands. But I'm definitely going on the next.
So I'll let you know the dates. Have dates.
I think that's
it. Sorted, but yeah. Apart from that, I'm a Christian as well. I love the Lord. We love the Lord. I'm Jesus.
Yes,
I'm a Jesus fan. Is that what they call it?
Yes,
I'm just a Christian full stop. Whatever comes with it.
Yeah.
So I guess that guides my life, and hopefully can share more about that in this interesting conversation.
Brilliant. And sorry to put you on the spot, but I cannot not allow people to know that. So you, my dear, are a scholar. A woman in STEM. Is it? It's a woman in STEM.
Yeah.
Yes, this phenomenal woman here is a PhD student.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny because I think I was speaking with someone. Apparently, in America, like PhD students are not necessarily seen as students, but like workers.
Yeah, I mean, a PhD in America and then even in like other parts of Europe, you're literally a staff member, for example.
Oh, but that doesn't happen here.
No, not here. I mean, it depends on what lab you work in, but I like being a student. It's like
so there's some
responsibility and there's less for it. So I know that it helps me because I'm in training, so I know when I make mistakes.
Yeah, they probably think, obviously, fair enough.
Yes.
Less pressure.
Oh, less pressure.
And like you're enjoying all the student benefit.
Exactly.
They still do that. So no one else is
I claim everything. Student tickets, bus passes, everything. I claim everything, please.
And it's funny because you're not even like but let's people like the scene 18 and the
13, 20. I'm not.
And you're a PhD. Even if you were like 21, as long as you're a PhD student. You are not a student. I'm sorry. You're a full-grown staff, like a staff member. And listen, she's working on this very lovely research. And anyways, no problem. But we'll let you have the student's title. Enjoy it. And while it's very laugh. Well, yeah, I'm glad to see because sometimes when we hear from PhD students, oftentimes they always look like really depressed and like just really sad. I know sometimes I've heard stories of PhD students going crazy. But you seem to have everything. Well, I mean, everybody goes through struggles, but I think generally you're always looking well. And as you say, you like having fun.
Yeah.
That's refreshing to hear.
Because you can't come and kill yourself. Because you actually cannot. I think, again, I say this phrase to like people. Why? Because people say, how do you have a life balance? Why do you seem to have fun? Because I've been so conscious of not making my PhD.
Why shouldn't you though?
Exactly. Like, I don't want my PhD to define who I am. So I'm studying, I'm researching, because that's what I feel like I'm doing. And there's more than being just a PhD student. So as for me and my household, there'll be plenty more enjoyments to come.
Girl, it makes us laugh. And I think it's for anyone who's listening and is at a, you know, like a certain phase of their life, whatever phase of your life you're in short, anywhere that you find yourself, like whatever you're doing at the moment, always remind yourself that there's more to life than whatever activity that you're doing, whatever projects that you're working on. Because for every phase in life, there will be difficulties. And being a PhD student, I imagine, comes really a truckload of struggles and, you know, probably crying, struggle, frustration when your research isn't going as so. But then still reminding yourself that amidst all that struggle, there's more to this person than that. And I think that's just a very beautiful segue into why we're here and what we want to talk about, right? I think one of the things that I did mention was the fact that in every phase of our lives, like there's a struggle that's attached to it. And oftentimes when people express like their struggles, maybe for some people who are out of job, there's space for them to actually complain about that or like feel bad about it without feeling guilty or feeling like they're ungrateful. Like even the beautiful things of life equally come with difficulties. Like they say, no good thing comes easy. And in one of the previous episodes because that's how this conversation started, right? So we put out an episode and we're getting into it. I put out an episode with Kewe where we talked about the gift of singlehood, and we had a conversation about that, and it just opened my eyes to the fact that actually, now that I think about it, I recognize that yes, every good thing also has some underlying challenges because that's the world we live in. Full stop. Yeah. But like, how many spaces are there for people to actually say, you know what? Yes, singleness is a gift because life is a gift, you know. God, everywhere, every point in our life that we need to be grateful and content, blah, blah. However, it is equally challenging. I just realized that, you know, following from the conversation that we had, that this is actually something that we definitely need to talk about because, as you say, you know, and I'm just like you in that sense when you say that you really like people and you're always intrigued by people and you want to know how they think and, you know, what gets them going. I think for me, that's the same thing. And even more, like I want to be able to shape the culture and society where we honor one another and we don't look down on each person's individual struggles or individual or collective struggles. And as much as we want to talk about all the good things and all the nice and sweet stuff, so I think it's also important for us to really get neck deep into the difficult conversations, which is why we're here. I think one of the questions that I would like to ask is, do you agree that there is a stigma or some sort of shame? And I know that you and I have, we don't exactly have the same life experiences in the sense that I grew up in Nigeria. And you grew up in the UK. So based off your experiences and the environment that you grew up in, would you agree or disagree that there is a stigma? How would you even explain what the environment looks like for, you know, a single woman specifically?
That's a good question. I think I'm thinking about it in like two parts. So being single as just a normal woman and then being single as a Christian in the Christian circles. Yeah. So I think single in the UK, that's fine. Everyone's single. Being single doesn't mean you're single, you're probably sleeping around. Or you're single, like it doesn't really mean anything. It just means you're just not in a relationship and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. But when you're single as a Christian, that's a bit different because especially when you understand what marriage is and what you're aspiring for, then there's a lot of, we don't talk about it. You're single and you just get married. So you don't talk about the whole point of, okay, you're in a space of singleness or you're single or you're still in your 20s, you're in your early 20s. That's a bit different to when you're in your later 20s or maybe in the early 30s, late 30s, early 40s. And you find that you're not in a relationship, you're not married and you're desiring these things. We don't talk about it. It's just like, you're just there. At times. I think that's probably what you see. It's very different from being in the church and then being in the world, for example. And there's a different mindsets about singleness.
That's actually so interesting to hear, Sewa. But you know what? Very quickly,
Okay.
let's do a little icebreaker. So you were telling me about a TikTok video that you watched,
Yeah.
and I want us to do the same thing. What's the question? Like, what was the question?
What are the things you should not say to your single friends?
Can I go first? As somebody who is very familiar with being single, but at the same time, I've just recently come out of that, and I have most of my friends are single. I'm also like trying to navigate what to say and what not to say, even if it's an innocent joke. So one thing I've recently learned not to say to my single friends anymore is, please do fast and go and marry.
I just said that.
I do not intend to say that going forward.
Oh my God.
At first, it was nice when we're all saying it to one another.
No, so am I going to marry myself?
Yeah, like now I see how problematic it is.
Yeah.
Especially when because they are desiring. Like all my friends are actively desiring it. So I'm like, okay, if they weren't, that would have been fine. It wouldn't be a problem. But like, what if they actually go home and start thinking like, bruh, Because like I didn't mean it. Yeah. So going forward, no, I'm going to be more careful to not say that.
Yeah. I think there's a lot. There's a lot, and I think one comes to my mind is that, like, just be content in your singleness. Just be content. Be content. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because oftentimes it's like, oh, you're not content in it. That's why you're still single. So when you reach the sense of contentment,
it's that people actually believe. My God,
when you reach the sense of contentment, then it will come. But you know, the idea of like, oh, just be content. It's just said like, you know what, just want to help out. Just like, anybody in my land, I'm okay with it. Just enjoy it. Another one, enjoy your singleness. Enjoy your singleness. Right, just going to be a lot of stress. Just enjoy it. You don't want to know what's coming for you.
I'll have that next
moment. Yeah, I want that. I want that thing that you have there as well. And I think it's often like this or the other. Marriage is very hard. So you don't need to do anything you want to do anyway. So then just stay in the singleness, stay in the brain.
There was one time I actually did I think it was an Instagram video actually. This was shortly after I got engaged or something. A married lady was said to me, because my husband and I dated, we dated, and we got married within 1 year. What? You should have done a video. I thought recording for this one. I should have seen her, guys.
No, but yeah, you have to repeat that for people to
I feel like we met,
and then first, like you entered each other's life.
We entered each other's lives. We became friends for like a few months. Then we started dating, and then we got engaged, and then we got married in the space of one.
I think it's a 12 months calendar year.
Well, I think we started dating November ending. We got married November ending. Our court wedding was again on stuff. It wasn't planned. It was just, do it. God then our lives in that way, which is amazing, so interesting. Obviously, at face value, even if my friends didn't told me that, I'll be like, "Are you crazy? Why would you date and marry somebody in 1 year? You don't even know them like that." I would never have done that personally. When I met my husband, I told him like, dating should be like 3 years.
If I hit you and you don't know you're about to marry me in about 2 to 3 months, what are we doing here?
I didn't know. I didn't know. I was like, yeah, 3 years.
Sorry, what?
Like, we didn't plan it. Definitely, me, marriage was not on my plan at all, which is why, like, at the end of the day, I'm really grateful for how God writes different love stories, because no two stories are the same. And I think that's what makes it really unique. But anyway, scratch that. And then this lady was, of the opinion that, why are we rushing that? See, I get that you're having all these butterflies and everything. I'm like, first of all, you don't even know me. Because if you knew me, you know that butterflies is the last thing that is guiding me right now. Yeah. Because I've never really been that hopeless romantic. Like, I didn't even know the kind of wedding ring I wanted until I was about to be proposed. Oh, wow. I didn't know the kind of wedding dress I want. Even till today, I don't know what my wedding dress is. Like, my wedding in itself, I was just like, see, I promise you, put me on that mango tree with this man. Bring Pastor K. Let's get married. Done. Like, I never really had that fairy tale, none of that. So, just going back to what you were saying about the fact that, when they say, enjoy it, like, why the rush, man, I'm like, and you don't know me, I'm not rushing anything. I'm the kind of person that actually, like, if you get to know me as a person, I love process. I'm such a stickler for process. Don't worry, I'm not interested in the beauties and the fame and the glory of anything. I would have stayed there. If God has said, okay, date for 2 years, I would be fine to do it. If God has said, okay, date for 5, anything that God has said to do, I would have been okay with it. I mean, obviously, there will be challenges and all of that, but because God has said it, that's kind of life I live. God has said it, that's it. I'm going on with it. It's his responsibility to strengthen me to go on the journey. Now, you don't know anything about that. And as a Christian, I'm telling you that, and I know sometimes people say, oh, God said, but they are wrong. But get to know me and maybe test it in the place of prayer. If you actually pray over me, maybe God will also reveal to you that this and this and that.
Yeah, I think that there's more than just, even what you're saying, because the assumption is like, oh, you clearly don't know what you're doing. You're young. What else have I heard? What else? Okay, this is the one that's, I know it's a bit of a debate. Your singleness is a gift. I get it. I get the heart behind it. I get it. I've been through a lot of seminars, especially when I was younger. The gift of singleness. It's our single season. Enjoy the gift. Stay in that time. The way that it puts it through is like, okay, this is the gift that I want. And they use Paul as an example. Paul didn't desire marriage. So it was an excellent gift for him. So he had to give real with this. This is it. It's not like, I'm trying to marry anyone. I don't.
Is it much? Was even trying to like question? He was like,
don't do it.
Personally, I would rather that you not.
If you want to do it, okay. But it's like, it's a gift, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get asked for example, right? But it's a gift that God has placed me in for, and to see it in that perspective, to see it as a gift in that regard, then yes, that's fine. But I think the tone is often like a patronizing tone that it's just like, you should feel ungrateful when you're desiring marriage, because what you have right now is a gift. So then you feel a lot of shame, like, oh, I want a partner, I want a companion, I want to be married. Then you don't want to say it out loud at all, because it's like, well, that means I'm not enjoying this gift of singleness. And then that sets you apart for something else down the line.
So like, how do we shift this conversation in such a way that people are comfortable to admit both truths? Because these are two truths, as you say, without, people trying to make them feel like they're being ungrateful.
Yeah. I think we have to really should be honest with ourselves and see that, especially, okay, I'm going to have to speak as from a Christian perspective, that this desire that you have is a good thing. It's a godly thing. So when someone's saying that they desire marriage, the same way, or someone is jobless, I desire to have this job, you encourage them, apply for this job. Do you think you're qualified? What can I do to help? So when someone's desiring marriage, we should create the space for them to actually know that, okay, first of all, it's a good thing, it's a God thing. And what can I actually do to facilitate this for you? How can I be of service to you? I think oftentimes, especially when you're single, it's often like you're serving upwards, but you're not being served downwards. So the church might not always serve you. It's just, okay, you're single, you have time, go serve. You're single, you have time. No one's calling you. No one's. You're not going back to anyone. So surely you have all the time in the world to do all the service. So you don't leave room for that. So that even the singleness as a gift, the time that you have is stretched in so many places because you're seen as the filler. So I think it's understanding. Is it empathy that we say? To put yourself in the shoes of the people and actually see, okay, what does it actually look like for you to walk this life desiring something but not having it? Because everyone has this. Take away singleness from this. Most people have gone through life wanting something, but you're not having, that thing is not being met. And then put yourself in that shoe of, you really desire something that is good, that God says is a beautiful thing, but it's not being met. How do you then tackle that? I think it's being honest. Like, me and my friends, goodness, thank God, like, we've been honest with each other. And before, it was a time where, I'm single, we're in the single season. And then one of my male friends, he literally sat me down, Sharon, what's going on? And he was very like, okay, do you want to get married? I was like, yeah. Okay, so then what's happening?
What are you doing?
Yeah, like, are you meeting people? Are you not meeting people? Are you desiring it? Are you not, like, that conversation with him, I remember, I think 2-3 years ago, that changed my idea about marriage or dates. Because I thought, all through uni, I was like, unless I want to marry you, why am I dating you? I never even thought about entertaining any conversations at all, because I just wasn't being honest with myself. And then me and my friends got together over the past 2 years particularly, and just expressed our desire for marriage. And we've been able to encourage ourselves with that. But I think, just honesty with each other. I don't know if that's actually the question.
Yeah, it does actually. And I think what your friend did was actually really amazing, in sense that he's able to like call you and say, you know what, I hear you, however, can I know the reason for this mindset or this perspective that you have? So I think one of the things that I really encourage people to do on this podcast as well is to do a lot of introspection. Why are you the way you are? And this is not to say that the way you are bad. Yes, sorry. The way you are is bad. Jesus. Wow. People say that the way you are is bad. And however, even the good things, like ask yourself, clarify your why.
Yes.
As noble as anything might seem, why are you doing it? Right? So it's like, okay, if someone says, well, I like being single, and as someone who I didn't grow up, a religious person. So it's like I found God, along the way of my life, like along the journey. But then I know I need to be in the world, and trust me, the people of the world have a very different perspective to us as Christians, especially on the grounds of relationships. Now, one of the reasons why I wasn't desiring marriage was because I genuinely didn't see anything good in marriage. I thought of it as a waste of my time. It was going to hinder my career. It would make me give up on. And I am still very ambitious. I'm very driven, very career focused. I like to work. That's my personality. And because of what I was seeing around me, women having to give up their jobs, they have to become stay-at-home moms, they lose themselves, they're not doing anything more. Well, I'm not me. I'm not doing that. So it kind of shaped my perspective subconsciously, right? And I wasn't desiring it. I wasn't making any steps at all. And then there's also the people who who go on about like a whole phase. So being single is great. So many people is great. I was like, I'm in my whole phase. Yeah, my whole phase. Like, okay, marriage is this thing that's going to tie you down. Exactly. To one person. So now that you're single, why not use it to do all this exploring and blah, blah, blah. We know that that's a very slippery slope. Yeah. So I guess one thing that I would say in terms of how we can shift these conversations or like shift the narrative would be to be able to try our best. I don't think that there's a perfect balance in anything, but we can do our possible best to achieve that, in the sense that the church is a mixed crowd. You have people who are probably just coming into the church from outside for the first time, and they still have that mindset. So when you say things like, listen, you need to enjoy your singleness and use it to serve God, you need to be content with the fact that you're single, okay. Then you have people who have been serving God for decades, they're in their 40s and they've still not found and they desire this thing and they still not found it. Hearing that will not cater to them. Exactly. So it's like being able to see that and also say, I know that this is a difficult season for some, and we recognize that being single, especially when you're desiring marriage and you're not having it, it's not coming like for decades, or it feels like it's taking so long, just keep trusting God. The same way you tell someone who is trusting God for a job or healing or a miracle, you encourage them in Christ, like recognize that it's painful. Recognize that it comes with its own struggles. Like be able to reassure them that, listen, we're not going to downplay your experience here. So being able to say that, like you can say all these things in one sentence.
But I think that's the key, like to actually recognize that there is a pain there.
I don't think that's people.
No, I
think that's the issue.
That's the thing, because it's not seen. It's like, okay, you're about to enter the next stage of your life now, so it's only going to get harder from now. So enjoy this time, rather than seeing that it is painful. Let me not even try and sugarcoat it. Thank God for community. Thank God for my friends that I can be forever bear with and say, guys, this is hard. This is hard when you want to make life decisions, but you can't, because okay, you want to buy a house. It's a huge commitment to buy a house. You can do it by yourself, absolutely, but then to have two people do it, it's a lot. It's a lot more easier. First of all, financially, it's a lot more easier.
The UK is actually wired to favor couples.
Exactly. It's wired to favor couples. Okay, so you want to put down as a deposit, you have to do a lot more work in that sense. And then there's that part about like finances. There's a part about desiring companionship. And I love my friends, I love my sisters, I love my family, but it's not the same.
It's not. It can never be the same.
Exactly. You cannot compare.
If it was the same, God would not have given
honestly, right? Just Adam, just stay there.
Be friends, rules.
Just be bros, friends on each other, sister in Christ, why do we call each other? That's what would have left us, but then that's not the truth of it, right? There's a pain that you recognize, that there's desire, and especially when like God has made us for communities, made us for long, He's placed these desires in you. So that's one thing I had to recognize, that I have this desire because God has placed it.
It's not as a responsibility thing.
Exactly. So the pain that I feel is like there's a desire that's in me that's not being fulfilled, right? Yes. And I'm having to get comfortable with the fact that I may never see that being fulfilled because I don't know what the next 20, 30 years or 40 years will look like. But I'm holding on to trusting in God that, okay, I will still keep trusting you in the middle of this. That's another thing to go through. But I think actually recognizing what the pain of it can look like, financially, physically. Can I be real?
Be real, girl. I know that there are lots of people who I think,
oh my goodness, like, it's like people that, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about circumcision right now. Because I'm like, sometimes I have to call my friends, like, guys, you have to, like, we need to talk, because if not, my body is doing things that I'm like, how do I respond to this? But I can't, right? Because it's been created for the confines of marriage. So you have feelings, you have emotions, you have hormones raging, where it can't be expelled because you don't have that there, right?
Yeah.
So all of these things, there's nagging things here, you want to leave, like, future planning, you don't have that, or you want to nurture. Yes, you can nurture in the kids, you can nurture family around you, but again, it's not the same. But I think it's holding space that we can't, because oftentimes, just go serve in this way, go nurture this, go look after this kid. That would give you the same thing you're looking for. But I think recognizing the pain. What? But just recognizing, I think that's the thing, recognizing, and what you said, I loved it, like recognizing the pain of it and holding space for that. So the two things can be true. Yes, it's painful, but there's something else you can hold on to in the middle of that. But oftentimes it's
always a one-sided.
Yes. Or just focus on the pain. It's so painful. It's just so sad. It's depressing. And then you don't look on the other side of things as well. So yeah, I think that's what I'll say.
It's a very nuanced topic. Like, it's not, you can't just look at it from one angle and like that's it. It's not a one size fit all. Like, okay, you're saying to somebody, enjoy the gift of singleness. You can say that to a 19-year-old. My dear, what are you telling me? Enjoy. What are you saying? But that's not the only person in the room. So
that's so key.
You need to be very conscious of the fact that there's lots of different demographics here, and you need to be able to encourage them differently. So I think that's how that culture shifts, which is great. It might not come quickly, but it's at a point.
Yes, that's a conversation.
There was something that you said around knowing that, okay, this is something that you do desire. Your friend was asking you, like, okay, are you meeting people? And what's going on? I'm not going to ask him, how you are meeting people? I'm not going to be I just wanted to ask then, what are the challenges of that?
Oh, gosh.
Are there challenges you be aware of? Tell us, what's the reality?
Do you know what? Where do I even begin? Sorry, do you know what came to my head about, like, meeting people? I just thought about this. So I dabbled in online dating. And I remember one guy I met.
Yeah.
This is going to give you an example of a challenge. This is before I started my PhD. We're meeting. It was very serious. Oh, he's got this going. He's got this going. I was like, okay, cool. This is interesting. Interesting guy. And then it would always like ask about my career. Okay, so how would you similar to you? I don't know if I used to be very, very career focused. I still am. I mean, based on what I'm doing, but I knew what I was trying to get at, so at least, okay, I have a focus on what I'm going to. So I'd always ask about the career, the goals. Okay, so how would you do this with family life? How would this work with family? Then I'll think, okay, I know how to work around this, and it's not just a one-sided thing.
Yeah.
I know sometimes if you have a child, for example, or things will have different priorities, and you just work and adjust that. I would ask through and through, and then I think we had a conversation one day, and they kept asking me about my PhD. I was like, oh yeah, so when do you start? I was like, okay, start showing interest. This is good. But I think then one time before the last conversation, he said, if you're not doing your PhD, I'll marry you. I'm being serious. I said, oh, Jesus. He said, it was like, yeah, because if you leave the PhD, we can get married. I was like, oh my God, dude. Oh, and I said, oh, okay. I was like, oh, that's one of my biggest fears. I thought, like, how will people respond? But I'm very serious. We call them
what's it face to face?
We call them this was face to face. I met in a coffee house in town. Yeah, it's hard because, again, these are the kind of people that are Christian men. I mean, that's the standard that you start to know that you're dating. And they don't understand, or they don't have the same values on your ambition, for example.
Yeah.
They don't see the value in you, or they see that you would be, rather than actually being with someone that would cause you to aspire to be more, because they see the dedication in you. They see that you have the ability to do certain things, and they wanted to encourage you to even do that. So so that's a bit of the dating pool. It's been interesting. It's been interesting. What's your question again? What are the struggles?
I think in terms of meeting the right person,
I think the first being that the word Christian is so means different things to different people. That's probably one of the biggest things. So you meet someone, oh, you're Christian. For me, that means, okay, you love the Lord and you live according to what God says. Your lifestyle follows that. But we don't see that being translated in. So you're Christian, but you want space for X, Y, and Z. You're Christian, but we're still having this debates on whether or not physical boundaries should be in place. You're Christian, but
the club is fine.
Oh, like the clubbing is fine.
Quick Friday night out.
Every time you go, I'm like, oh, okay, where do we start with this? Or you're Christian, but you don't respect like boundaries that I have, or they're my boundaries. You're happy to follow that because of me, but you don't have any boundaries yourself. I'm like, exactly. You're Christian, but you don't go to church. But just the very, very fundamental things. And it's not to be very, oh, you must do X, Y, and Z. But your dedication to Christ is what allows me to know if I can submit to you, right? So if I don't see that, then where am I going? So I think that's the very first thing that we look for. Second thing is just from conversations. It's almost like there's this fear of commitment with guys. I have a lot of single friends. They are ready, quote unquote, for marriage, right? The guys that are meeting are either, I don't have my things together yet, or I want to be talking to you, but I don't want to commit to you. I want to bring you along on this journey. I want you to be invested emotionally in me, but I don't want to be committed to you. And then you realize that commitment precedes intimacy, right? But they want intimacy without commitment. So how do we get past that stage? And again, this is Christian guys. So, I mean, quote unquote, Christian guys, or people that we just meet in general. Then we can't move any forward because there's no onus that you want to take the leadership. You want to actually make any commitment. So I'm dating, you're talking, but there's no future goal. Well, marriage is in the distance, but the steps to get there. How you got married within a year still fitting me. That's me good because
100%, and like it's something I don't even take for granted, and like it's just so interesting. And I think one thing that whenever I'm speaking to people, I'm like, what happened to me is the grace of God that I would never take for granted. It's not. Some people will define it as luck, but I think it's how God wanted both our lives to go. And then also like I think realistically, there are more women in the world than men. Even in the church, there are more women in church than there are men. As like within that small pool of men, there's a subset of the ones that are actually ready and have this. But like I totally agree with you. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. But genuinely, I do think that it's not easy to find someone that aligns with your values. But I also believe that it's not impossible. And I think because society has made it look like, okay, you have this X number of, especially for us as women, you have this X number to get your acts together. But after this it's yours done. It will never happen for years. It's just so false.
And that's why I have to be so conscious, especially as someone that's not married. I have to be so conscious at training myself to not believe that, because when you look outside, it's like, okay, God, like if God don't do it, I don't know where it's gonna come from. But I have to like God still has sons, and I have things to myself so many times, like God, I know you still have sons, right? So I have to trust that, because if not, you look around and you see what's around you, and it seems hard, because if you are just don't know that single and all your friends are married, okay, that's a bit different. But when you have multiple friends around you, you go to church, you see, okay, there's a lot of people here that are single. So what's going on? And I think I can say this back to God. I think the enemy is really doing a work on the men right now, as in terms of either just shifting their focus away from this, or shifting their focus of what it looks like to be a man, on what it looks like to actually work, what it looks like to serve a family, what it looks like to actually lead a family. So a lot of them are waiting for the woman to come in and lead when they should be knowing their own role. So because of that, it goes back and back and back and back.
It's already dysfunctional.
Exactly. So when the woman again to say, okay, they're ready for marriage, the guys have not reached that stage already. And then it's that cycle. So the women are not getting married, for example, or the guys are marrying maybe when they're ready, they might be marrying someone that's way younger than the woman that they're trying. So all of that is, I guess, the biggest disconnect. But yeah, I think that's the thing. God still has sons, and it's so important as people that are desiring marriage to not forget that.
Like God's timing is not like, it doesn't work with the way of the world. The world can set all the standards for us. Honestly, bruh. So I think just look to God and like focus on your life and where God is taking you particularly. And I think one thing too, actually, that I'm trying to kind of set myself off. This is a mindset I probably even had even before getting married. And I think it's even more important that now that I am married, I make sure that I do not have that mindset. I think it's about the fact that maybe the reason why somebody is single is because they're not doing something right. Or maybe they've not learned something about themselves. Like, oh, you need to work on yourself. Like, same thing they're saying, oh, you need to definitely work on yourself. So me, I was like, okay, I can't be married now because I've not worked on myself. I believe this internally for my life because I knew that, okay, I was just saved a few years ago. That's not enough now. And this man has been saved for like decades. And I'm not going to it's like, so what? So I genuinely do not see myself as worthy. I'm like, okay, God will not give me a husband until, and but yeah, what do you have to say about that? Actually,
I think that's the biggest misconception, because I think when you're approaching marriage as that mindset that, okay, you're perfect, I'm perfect, so now we're going to enter this thing and then it'll be nice and peaceful or blurring. When the essence of marriage is two imperfect people coming together to look and reflect Christ, right? To see how the church was dirty, the church was filthy, but Christ came to die for the church, right? To reconcile us back to God. But when you view marriage as two perfect people, then you suddenly ways of a perfection that can never be reached, when the whole essence of you coming together is to make you look like Christ. So that means already you're two imperfect people. So when we say, oh, just preparing yourself for a perfect church. Exactly. Keep working on yourself, keep growing, keep doing all of these things, because you're trying to get to the top. But what is that? It's not possible.
And what is that?
Exactly. It's so vague. So what is that? Trying to find people,
But some people is like, once they're done with uni, that's it. Other people are thinking, oh, I want to be a director. Man, no, I want to buy a house. I wanted to buy a house and a car. So as long as those things were not in view, I could not possibly get about that. What are you telling me? I hadn't reached my peak. I hadn't reached my phase.
Driving, you have your own apartment.
Do you get me? Like, that was my top. Like, I was just like,
I love that God did that for you, because God really just had to dismantle all your ideals and everything else, and He's giving you something beautiful out of it. You can say, okay, this is indeed good. And absolutely, this is what He does.
And I really want people to take something that you said just now, just to reiterate that for anyone who probably, I hope you didn't skip it, but essentially, like, when you're striving to get to the top, what does that even look like? It's different for different people. And there's no such thing as a perfection. One thing that I would really like us to wrap this up with very nicely would be, what encouragement will you give to people who are in that phase of their life where they're single, but they're also desiring marriage? Like, what sorts of encouragement would you give to them?
Okay. I have to say the thing that's just been helping me, and it's gonna sound so cliche, but this is it. You have to cling to Jesus, as in full stop, because especially when you don't see what you're looking for materialize, it is hard. It is difficult. It is painful. There's no amount of just keep working on yourself, because you're working, you finish working on yourself, okay, and then it's not here, right? But you have to cling to Jesus, because the reason I say that is because everything else, yes, marriage is beautiful. Yeah, marriage is amazing. Yes, we want that. But in and itself, it will fade away, right? They will go. Whatever thing you're desiring, but let's stay in marriage. Companionship is amazing. It's beautiful. in itself will fade away. The only thing that's constant in this life is God, right? So the only thing I can draw strength from is God. And when I say cling to Jesus, it means cling to Jesus when you're in pain, when you are sad, when you're depressed about this, when you are happy about this. But in the darker times, cling to him. In the good times, cling to him. And that's literally the only comfort I can say, because that's what I've had to help on to, like clinging to Jesus and God using community to help me, or him himself. Like, okay, sure, it's okay. Like, you're sad, cool. Let's cry. I mean, it's not fine, but cry in my presence. Cry, feel the pain, stay in the pain, and we keep going. And that's it. Because I have to trust that, okay, if I say I believe in God, the God that holds this universe, the God that holds my life in his hands, that sees things that I cannot see, then I just have to trust that his plans towards me are good. Like, even though it doesn't feel good, and I can acknowledge that to him, like, God, what are you doing? Yeah, why are you taking away a relationship from me? I'm like, I've had words with God. I'm like, I would not do what you're doing.
Jesus said, please, why this cup pass over me?
Exactly. I'm like, just carry it out in power. But honestly, I think more than anything, just cling to God. I'm thinking, should I give you? There's nothing I can give you that will sustain. Yes, practical, meet people, all of that stuff. Yes, but then you can do all of that.
Even know,
exactly. Oh, and that will not hold you up. I think the only thing that will be constant, even through the process, through the ups and downs, is to cling to God. Like, and not in a way that's very, I need to come so perfect in your presence. No, God, this is me. Here's my desires. One thing that I learned from Tim Keller, amazing guy if you don't know him. Tim Keller, he was speaking about, like, our desires they're not bad. So when we get desires are good desires. But the thing is that we need to, because you don't want it to become an idol then. Yeah. It's another slippery slope. We need to love God more than our desires. I desire marriage, and it's beautiful. It's a great desire. Don't lessen that desire because, I'm not married. No, keep that desire where it's at. If it grows even more, maintain the growth of that desire, but then love God more than that desire, because that's the only thing that will give you satisfaction. Yeah. So I think that's what I've been holding on to. That's what's been helping me through the good and the bad, the sadness and the joy of singleness. Easy. That's what's been helping me on for a while.
I love this. Well, yeah, absolutely. Because God is the only thing that will satisfy. God is the only one that would truly satisfy us. Even marriage in itself will not satisfy. Some people are desiring parenthood. It will not satisfy. And they're all great and they come in their blessings and the joys of it. But if for any reason, which, all these things would eventually fade, let God be our ultimate satisfaction. I think that's, even for me, like, that's something that I definitely try to teach myself, to appreciate the things that God has placed in my hands, and also recognize that even when these things go, I'll still be happy. Yeah, I'm just being a child.
He's got you. Yeah, he's got you through any seasons, man. He's got you. And that gives me hope. And that's the only thing as a Christian. That's why I'm so glad I have God in my life that I can walk through this journey with. Because if I wasn't a Christian, why do I have hope? There's nothing to
do. So these things would be much harder to deal with. But because we have that anchor, the strength that we use to fight through life and through different phases of life comes from God. Because like, if it's just us, then our strength will fail. But man. Great conversation, I must say. Amazing conversation.
I hope it's been helpful. I guess I hope it's been encouraging, but I also hope it's not just been yay, what did they do? It's all fun and games, and let's just keep trusting God. Yes, trust God, but also recognize what it is for what it is. But
definitely been helpful. And if you're listening, I think that it's been helpful. Definitely, talk about it, share with somebody, comment on our social media, or you can send in your thoughts and opinions to, I think it's the gbpod@gmail.com.
You need to remember the name of it.
The gbpod@gmail.com, friends, or gb_podcast on Instagram. You can send a DM and just talk about how this has blessed you, share with somebody, and rate the podcast, friends. Rate the podcast. Thank you very much. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure that everyone listening enjoyed it as well. Yeah. Hopefully we'll have you back so we can talk about other interesting things, because you definitely have well of wisdom. They're going to draw from it. And thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Yay. Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you for staying to the end of this episode. Remember, rate the podcast, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye from me and Sewa.
Bye.